Turn off
We're
Don't start
outnumbered.
that, Brian. Don't start.
We have no
any
control,
mics or
Kathy.
anything.
Oh my God.
I guess this is when we let everybody know that this is being recorded, correct?
It is, but I'll cut this out when we actually make it public.
Oh, then I'm sort of cracking jokes too.
So Valerie, go ahead. We give you back control. I bet our fault.
All right, so here we go, guys. So Periscope EDU. First thing that you need, and I'm sure everybody here has, is a Twitter account. So once you have your Twitter account, you are already just about halfway there. Next step, do you all have a Periscope account?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
So whether you've downloaded that to your phone, and you know that Periscope is going to also, there's a web version of it, which you're not going to be able to necessarily scope from the web version. That's more of a playback for more feasibility. Most people scope from their phone or some other, device. So once you have that, the first thing that you want to do is be able to start a broadcast. So where are we with that? Starting a broadcast, Jason, Albert.
I've never scoped before. I just downloaded the app, made a profile, and that's it. That's where I'm at.
That's it. Okay.
I've done it, I think, once, and let's just say we're not going to share that video with anybody.
All right. So with the starting, Jason, what kind of phone do you have? Are you on iOS or Android?
iOS.
iOS. All right. So, Brian, you'll probably have to help me with what it looks like on the iOS side since I have Android.
Done.
And perfect. Awesome. So there you have on the iOS side. And Brian, do you want to walk him through this part?
No, you talk, I'll drive.
Okay. All right. So we are looking for, so what you'll see on this iOS, that top part, they're featured broadcasts, just as the screen says. So these are people that are on Periscope. Usually they have a high following, or it's what Periscope deems is what a lot of people are watching in this moment.
Are you serious? Deadpool costume unboxing?
Yep. So obviously, he's got 4,000 viewers watching.
Almost 5, yeah.
Almost 5 watching in this moment. And then right underneath the featured broadcast, what you'll see are the recent broadcasts. So either people that you are following or have followed that may have broadcasted recently. All right, so now to start your scope, you want to find the button that allows you, and I don't know where Brian went, but you should see a screen that looks like what Brian just had on board.
Okay,
where's that
yeah.
red button at, Brian?
Yeah, so that button down at the very bottom, yeah, ignore the red button at the top. That's just Reflector, the application I'm using for this. But at the very bottom is in your dock.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the TV represents broadcasts that have already been broadcasted or your featured broadcast. The globe represents broadcasts you can find anywhere on the globe. So you can actually search for broadcasts around certain subjects. So like, it's got the football game going on and so on and so forth. That one in the middle for an iOS would be where you would actually begin your broadcast. Okay. You want to go from there, Val?
Yep. All right. So now, do you guys see that?
And where do you go? Albert, are you on iOS or are you on Android?
No, I'm on
Don't laugh.
The
quality system. So I'm on Android.
Okay, on Android, there's actually that middle button that, well, you've scoped before, so you know what that button looks like. Okay. So
yes, that's what's throwing me off because there is not a middle button. My button is
on the bottom right side.
Yeah, bottom right.
Ours is different. Yeah, ours is different.
Yeah,
that's that quality. That's the quality.
Yeah, so iOS is giving you the middle button.
Middle finger, middle button.
There you go.
maybe.
That's it. So your screen should look just like this. So right now at this point, Jason, what you want to do on this part, there are a couple of things, and you'll see that Brian, there's like this little pulsating arrow, which looks like a little paper plane.
Mhm.
Then there's the kind of like a, go ahead.
I was gonna say that pulsating, that's for location.
Okay.
So if you want to share your location where you are, you actually press it off.
Okay.
Or if you don't want to share where you are, you'll press it off. So right now it's saying that it was on at the moment. So when it's pulsing, that means your location is actually on. I don't share my location, but people like Judy Arts, is that her last name?
Yeah.
Arst. It's Arst or something like that.
D
Yeah,
before the T. Yep.
She's a traveler.
Yep.
So she's a travel broadcaster. So she's actually a part of this community. And so she always shares where she is scoping to tell you a little bit about the location. I turn mine off.
And then that next icon right next to it.
That one is for if you only want the people who follow you to be a part of the broadcast or open to the public. So as you see, I don't know if you can see those words, everybody can chat. Sorry, this is for the chatting feature. So everybody can chat if it's actually in bold. And then only people that follow you is the other option. So the benefit of only people that can follow you is you can ensure that you don't have any crazy people that come into your broadcast saying anything and everything. And I will say this, most of our female broadcasters,
it drives me nuts.
They attract some very ignorant people that are actually out there.
Crazy. Yeah.
So you can cut it off. Now the con to cutting it off is if someone is not following you, but is very interested in your broadcast, they will not be able to get the notification or see your broadcast or chat or interact with you because it's only for people who actually follow you.
Hey, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, so can you adjust that or change that after the fact? After you've gone live?
No.
Okay.
No. However, there is a feature where you can actually block people as they come in.
Okay.
So you can usually tell by their handle.
Yeah. Their profile picture.
Yeah, who the jokers are.
Yeah.
And it's press for us on iOS. You press and it gives you options to block, report as spam. I can't remember what the other option is, but you can get rid of them.
Abusive or something.
Yes, right. And Margaret is the champ at that because you can't even tell she's blocking people, but she be dissing people left and right. You can't even tell.
Yes, she does.
And then that third icon there with the little Twitter bird.
Yeah. That for us is if you want it to go to your Twitter followers. So right now, Twitter post is off when it's not highlighted. When it is highlighted, it's Twitter post. Simply means when you start a broadcast from Periscope, it will automatically show as a post on your Twitter page.
Okay.
Which you want.
Which you want.
Which you do want.
So while you're in Periscope broadcasting, it is also showing on your Twitter feed live in real time as well. So as people are looking at their Twitter timeline, they're seeing you and they can jump right in and watch your broadcast. So that's one that I would say when you get to the screen, you probably more than likely want to make sure that little Twitter bird is highlighted and lit.
Right.
And then from this screen, you'll see at the top part of it, there's that blinking cursor. That's where you're going to go ahead and title your broadcast. So you give your scope a name based on what you think you're going to talk about. So we know there are 2 hashtags that we definitely want to include because they are how everyone will be able to search for you if they don't watch it live. So the first one, obviously, Periscope EDU, and then the hashtag for the month, which is re-engage. Now on Periscope, it does allow you to do more than the, when Twitter was 140 characters, it allows you to do a little bit more than that, but I will caution you for putting too much in your broadcast title, because what happens is as I'm following and watching your broadcast live, I may want to instantly retweet or reshare. And if you have too many characters, it will not allow me. Then I have to decide what in your title I want to delete to be able to tweet.
Mm-hmm.
And so more than likely, folks aren't going to sit there to try to just, decide what in your broadcast title they want to take out to retweet. So I'd say just kind of keep it concise. So once you have that, and so as you notice, as Brian is putting in, some people like to tell folks in their broadcast title who's coming up next. You don't have to. You will announce that before you end your broadcast. But for the sake of, if you feel like I'll forget to say it and you want to put it in your title, then you can just type who's coming up next after your broadcast. And so now once you have this done, your Twitter bird is on, your title, your broadcast is titled, you're going to be ready to start, up at the top. You notice where it says public, private, test. You more than likely want to make it public because that's how everyone else is going to be able to see it. If it's a private scope, only those people that are following you and you're following are going to be able to see it. So make sure it's public. Make sure your little Twitter bird is lit and highlighted. Make sure you title your broadcast, include the 2 hashtags, and then you should be ready to start your broadcast. Before we show you how to start the broadcast, one more way to maximize your reach, and Tatul, Wiley, and Brian, you guys can definitely join in this. You can add, if you guys are on Facebook, you can connect it with your Facebook account, which now also sends the link to people on Facebook where they can join without having to create a Periscope account to watch. And so Brian can kind of show us how to connect. And it really isn't a long step. It's just, it asks you if you want to add an account.
I forgot where it is.
I think it's under the little broadcast, the little person broadcast. Let me go to my phone.
I thought it was on that main screen.
There it is right there. So for iOS, you hit the 3 silhouettes at the bottom, and then you hit the silhouette at the top for your profile. And it's right there in the 3rd grouping of text here: notification settings, and then connected accounts.
Oh,
There
cool. I gotta do that.
There you can connect your Google Plus account, your Facebook account, as well as your Twitter account.
So Valerie, you said when you connect to Facebook, when you go live, it'll send a link to Facebook.
Yes.
And folks can watch from Facebook and go to the Periscope account without having to do any.
Yeah, they don't have to have an account created. They don't even have to be Periscope users. It'll give them the link and they just click and they can watch your broadcast.
Dopeness.
Which maximizes at least your users, your visibility, at least, and your reach to people.
And what it does, though, it takes them to Periscope TV. It takes them to periscope.tv to where they can actually see your particular broadcast on your particular channel. So the other benefit of that is not only is your live broadcast available for them, but over on the left-hand side were all your previous broadcasts. So they can also check you out, from what you've done in the past as well from Periscope TV.
Cool.
So Jason and Albert, before we go on, Brian, before we hit start broadcast, one more thing that we want them to do is do the auto save so it doesn't delete after 24 hours.
All right. So while you're in that profile view here, you do have some settings you want to put in place. So once you click on settings, you have some different options here. So for your broadcast, you have the option of you want the stabilization on, but then there's an auto delete after 24 hours. Your choice to toggle it on or off, but the benefit of keeping it off is you also have the option to save it to your camera roll. The benefit of turning it on is you have it saved to your camera roll. But if you want it to stay on, that means people can actually see your broadcast several days later. If you had it on getting off at 24 hours, they go to Periscope TV, those past broadcasts are no longer available after 24 hours.
Yeah, and I don't do the camera roll thing because I don't want it to clog up my memory. So it's your choice if you want to auto save to your camera roll or just take off that auto delete function.
Yeah, you could. That's completely up to you. Let me explain why, though I do it to save the camera roll.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I kind of want to save the quality of the broadcast and the interactivity, with the hearts and the questions and the comments on my camera roll. That way I can load that directly to YouTube from my phone.
Cool.
So if I'm out in public and I'm doing something that's not from OBS, but it's a public showing or whatever the case is, and I want to also put it on YouTube and I'm not simulcasting, save it to my camera roll. And on all phones, you have that option to be able to upload videos directly to YouTube from your account. So that's why I choose it. But that's, once again, your personal preference on that. But he's right. It does take up memory on your phone, especially when you save it in high definition. It does warn you of that. But that's an available option to you.
One thing too, Brian, if I could jump in for Tutul, if you're worried about the memory on your phone, if you have Google Photos,
all right,
download it on your phone, and you can have it set so that it automatically uploads videos and photos and everything from your phone up to your Google Cloud account. That way you can delete it off your phone, and even after you upload it to YouTube or whatever, you can delete it off your phone and save your memory.
Still there. Cool.
Yeah, that's what
or you can go back in and do it manually, right? Once you do the recording, you can go in and automatically save it to your Google Photos.
Yeah,
I might do that.
Something new. One thing to be make sure of when you go into your Google Photos, though, there's two options in the setting. You have either the original, like it's called original version of the file, or like the free unlimited one, and you get two different qualities when you upload.
Okay. Right. Cool.
So Albert, Kathy, and Jason. So this sounds like a lot and it seems like it takes a lot of time, but this is just you getting it set up. Once you do all of these things once, you never really have to go back and do them ever again. So I would just suggest between now and September 20th, just go in and make sure you connect your Facebook account, connect the Google account, and make sure that you have the auto delete button after 24 hours off. So as long as you get those things in place before the 20th, this is the part that you're really going to jump in on the day of broadcast to do. You're just going to jump right in and start titling your thing. And you can actually save the title to your clipboard on your phone if you want, and then you can just copy it and paste it. So now you'll see where Brian is, and there's that go live button that pops up. So you're highlighted with your Twitter bird. You've got your settings to public so everyone can see. You've titled it. You've got your hashtags. Now you hit go live. And as long as your internet's working, it will connect.
My phone is doing like a ton of things at the same time.
And it will go live. And once it goes live, some people like to wait a little bit. People pop in before they start speaking. I hit go live and I just start talking because I figured
and rolling.
Valerie start fixing her hair as soon as she go live.
Yes,
I've noticed that.
My God.
Her hair is always luxurious. Luxurious going on.
Don't support him, Albert. Don't co-sign it.
No, I actually saw you doing it walking down the street in Chicago.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But yes, so it's up to you. Some people like to wait to know they have a viewing audience. I figure if they don't watch it live, a lot of people will come in on the replay. And I don't want them just sitting there waiting for a minute or two, when they come in. So it's really up to you how you do it. And so as you see Brian's live, his timer at the bottom is going.
Yeah, but I'm live privately. So
Live
I'm
privately.
I'm streaming to another account that I have. So
Gotcha.
I often do this to test things out as well. So if you can set up some private accounts or some test groups within the community and just broadcast to them just to make sure that you're good with what you're doing as in a practice, the private groups are perfect for that.
I was wondering why I didn't get a notification.
Yeah, so it's my student account that I run. So I'm just so you can actually see what it looks like at the bottom. All right. So like Valerie said, the timer, those 3 dots right there will give you some other options.
Okay, so those 3 dots that Brian just hit. Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, and so we just go live on the time that we picked. So if I'm going at 12:45, when it hits 12:45, I just go live.
That's right.
Yep.
You go live, because chances are those of us in the community are looking at the spreadsheet, and especially if we're in the position to be able to watch you live at that time, we're anticipating that you're going live at 12:45, and some of us will definitely want to jump in to support you live, especially if it's your first one.
Okay.
So yes. Now, if the morning of your time no longer works for you, as long as you can kind of give somebody a heads up that, I'm switching my time, then we'll know, the person before you will know not to announce you as coming up next.
Okay.
That
Valerie, I want to add something else. So we've since we started our Past the Scopes, we always try to do like a sign, and it could be a handwritten sign on a white sheet of paper. It could be something on a computer you made, but something that says, up next is Albert at whatever time. So the person who's coming behind you, you just announce that they're coming up next. And I think that's the whole idea of the Pass the Scope, that you're going to pass the scope to Albert, or you're going to pass the scope to Jason, or whoever's coming up next. So just a white sheet of paper, kind of with your name on it, your Twitter handle, just announce people how to find you on your social media. And then the person who's coming next. So Brian Smith is up next, his Twitter handle, and then his time. And that's it.
When should we make that? Should we wait till like the morning of, so that it gives people a chance to fill in if they want to do it, or when?
I make it like right before I go on. So it's all your preference. You can make it the morning of if you don't want to, whatever. But it doesn't have to be anything great. I think that kind of adds to it, because people have like little white,
Yeah.
Up next is. And that adds to the lightness of it. And I kind of want to talk about that as well. When we started this group, it was real fun and airy. And if you notice some of our hashtags, as you start to scope throughout the months with us, you'll see some of them they're really whimsical and funny. So we like to have a good time. We like to talk about some real meaty topics, but don't be afraid to be yourself, and don't be afraid to to just be fun with it. And our hashtag for this month is re-engage. So we always have a hashtag that we have our own personal interpretation. So whatever your interpretation of re-engage means is what you're going to talk about. And that'll be your theme for the 5 to 7 minutes that you talk, and then you pass the scope. So there's no right or wrong answer. There's nothing that that's going to be wrong about it. You just talk your interpretation of re-engage, and that's what it is.
And if you feel like 7 minutes, I still have a little bit more, don't feel like, oh man, I'm at 7 minutes and I got to stop. I mean, you do have that 15-minute window, and we just put that wiggle room in because sometimes there's technical difficulties. Sometimes you may be running just a few minutes late. You might have just been flying through the door. So you do have that extra cushion of time. Just be mindful. If the next person is coming on at 1, right after your 12:45, then be sure you're done at 1, because that next person's going to start. So Brian had up here on the screen, Brian, we want to show them, if they are watching, what the viewers will do. The viewers can share your broadcast while you are live. So I don't know if that's on this screen from the iOS. They swipe up. Do you guys swipe up as well from iOS to get that retweet?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So while you're broadcasting, and you'll probably get these little tags that come across your screen in blue or green, and it'll say Brian invited followers. And that's just to let you know Brian did something from his phone to share out your broadcast. So you don't necessarily need to respond or react to it unless you're just saying, thanks, Brian, for sharing. You'll see people tapping on their, well, you can't see the people tapping on their screens, but you'll see these little hearts going up the right side of your screen.
Hold
and
on.
That's people saying they really enjoy what you're saying or they agree.
Let's do that.
Yep, they agree with your message. So just keep talking. Some people will actually try to ask you questions in the comments if there's something they want you to elaborate more on, and it's up to you. Some people actually engage with the audience. Some people, that's a distraction for them and they can't talk and answer questions. So they'll just bypass it. So just do what makes you comfortable and won't throw you off or interrupt your flow of thinking. Just go with it. People are fine whether you answer their questions or not. They're okay with it.
Wiley, did you get that notification?
I didn't get one.
I just sent it to Wiley.
So while Brian is getting that notification, if you are scoping from your phone, like for example, you'll notice like Brian's got a whole setup, microphone. It's, I just usually scope directly from my phone. Try not to cover with your finger or your thumb the piece where your microphone is, because then it gets muffled.
See, Wiley just joined.
Yep.
See at the bar? And those are those hearts he's actually giving you. That's the interaction she's referring to.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yep. And if Wiley shares Brian's broadcast, if they were public, then you would see Wiley shared with his followers, or Wiley posted to Facebook, or Wiley posted to Twitter. So you'll be able to see who's actually sharing. So those of you wearing headphones, like Kathy has on tonight, you want to also be careful when you're scoping with headphones that the microphone or the cords are not constantly rubbing against, because then people hear that feedback in your broadcast.
Yeah, like I'm doing.
Right. And that can take away. Now, if you're scoping from your phone as well, if you double tap on your screen, it flips your camera around, just like you saw Brian do. And if he double taps on his screen again, it'll turn the other way. So when we first started scoping and before we knew what to do, you would see people turning their physical phone.
Right. That's hilarious.
Trying to show people what they were talking about, and it was so awkward. So you don't have to do that. You just double tap your screen and your camera will automatically flip.
And if your phone is acting a little nuts, like you're trying to double tap and you notice it's not doing it, those three dots will do the same thing for you. See where it says flip the camera at the bottom?
Flip camera. Yeah.
I see it.
They don't see that coming up. So when you press it on your phone, your audience does not see that. Only you see that. So that's where I got the sketching from as well. I can also ask for additional followers if I did that. So I can ask people to go ahead and send a request, where you can see follower request has been sent. It also, if I were public, you'll see an option for Facebook and Twitter there as well.
I don't think Android has the start sketching.
I kind of figured that. Anyway.
Whatever.
Shade.
So now you guys
Shade.
are at the point, to the end of your broadcast. Let's say you're wrapping up your message. You're getting ready now to pass the scope. So make sure you definitely say that. And now I'm going to pass the scope to, and then you say Wiley. You can say where he's from, however you want to do that. Wiley out in Louisiana. Here's his handle. That's when you hold up your white sheet of paper, or you can show your Google slide that you created. And now you're getting ready to stop your broadcast. And this is a part where people sometimes get tripped up on, because they're trying to stop the broadcast and then they're like fumbling on trying to get it to stop.
Happens to the best of us. That's right. Happens to the best of us.
Yes. So on the Android, you just swipe down from the top of your screen and you'll get it to look just like what Brian has, and then you'll just hit that red button, stop broadcast.
It's the same way for iOS as well. But you want to make sure you do pull from the top.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think it's like the last few seconds of whatever that image is actually becomes your thumbnail. So if your finger's right there, the last few seconds, that's exactly what your broadcast looks like when people go back. If you've got that crazy look on your face, unfortunately, that's what your thumbnail. So try to smile while fumbling so that at least it looks like you planned it to be that way. And then that's it. And you're done. And then the next person comes on after you.
Awesome. What does a question look like when, like, if Wiley were to send a question, what does that look like on your screen as you're scoping?
Go ahead, send a question, Wiley. This is a question. Yes, and you'll see that pop up. I mean, for example, when Tutul and I were on, Kathy was actually making comments. So
Yeah.
It's a lot of people just get on there and just start talking, and never look at the interactivity that's going on your screen. And it's very easy to not do that. But it's also important to let your audience feel a part of the broadcast by acknowledging that they've said something. I've seen a lot of people say, shout out where you're from, and give it, at the beginning of your broadcast to get people to interact with you in the beginning. But you want to make sure you acknowledge your audience as well. If they had a question, try to answer it, embed it within your conversation. And most people are accustomed to, here is an inappropriate comment. Don't make
it shows how to block people.
Yeah.
Then you tap it. So where it says here inappropriate comment, you tap it, and then you can block the user.
No, let's go all the way through it.
Well, then he wouldn't be able to see any of my broadcasts anymore.
Ever.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
But I could also view his profile from there to see if how legit he actually is, and then I can make my decision from there. That makes sense?
Yep. So if you do see
an inappropriate
comment, then just touch your screen right on that person's picture, right on your camera phone, and you'll get that option to block the user. And then you can just keep moving, with your broadcast. Don't even acknowledge it verbally and take time away from what the message is that you're trying to share. Just block them and keep going.
Oh, yeah. You can also do it from their, I think, from their settings. So when you pull up their profile, the top left, you got that settings sprocket.
All right.
You can mute them, unfollow them, block them, and so on and so forth.
And to bring up their profile on the Android, you swipe from the bottom of your screen up on your phone, and that'll pull up their profile. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's Periscope in a nutshell. So, I mean, these are the bare bones, the basics. Get your settings set up so that you have your Facebook account connected. You want to make sure your Twitter bird is highlighted before you hit start broadcast. Make sure your auto delete is off so that your broadcast doesn't disappear, so that replay viewers can still have the opportunity to watch it. Engage with your audience. And if you have a lot of live viewers, what will happen is those comments, if they're leaving a lot of feedback, they'll kind of fly up on the screen really fast, and there's no way for you to make them come back. That user will have to type their comment again for you to be able to see it. So sometimes it goes really fast and you would have missed it. And you'll probably say something like, oh, please send that question again. And then they'll type it again.
So yeah, you can do that. But on the iOS, you actually, just over on the left-hand side, you can actually scroll through past comments.
Oh, you can do that on Android too. It's
yes.
I don't know if it's a new feature.
Oh,
yeah, it's part of the latest update.
I don't know what it was for.
That's true.
But you can scroll up. Yeah. Ha!
Yeah. Gotcha on that.
We didn't want you to feel left out,
That's right. So Jason, Kathy, Albert, what other questions do you guys have?
Just need to know when Brian wants to come over to the dark side.
I have one. So I have an Android for work, but guess where it is? At work. I'm good. I like your phone though. The Pixel is pretty boss. I like it.
I've snagged a few pictures of you with it.
Yeah, that camera is outstanding. I'll give you that. I'm not a hater.
I feel like you guys have covered everything, and
Yeah.
so at least getting started. And I know without a doubt that if I have questions, I can reach out to you guys directly. So I appreciate that.
It's not a thing. You'll be fine. And one last thing. Make sure when you get on your when you get your profile set up that you add all of us.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
then
I did a little bit of adding, but I'll go through again and make sure that I hear.
Try to add as many people as you can, because that'll when you go live, we'll get the notification. We can jump on.
Yeah, because I see
helpful
Jason in there.
to keep your profile consistent with your Twitter handle.
Yep.
And then we'll find you on there.